Welcome to the event. We're really happy that you're here. We're about to go live in just a few moments. But before we lift off, there's a few important things we want to make sure that you're aware of so you get the best possible experience out of this. First of all, the sound current is supremely important to us, the musical experience. So if possible, we really encourage you to use good speakers or headphones to experience the class with. Second, if you have any pre-existing injuries, please take care of yourself, modify as you need to. Don't risk exacerbating an injury because of a yoga exercise. If you have any pre-existing medical conditions and you're not quite sure if this would be good for you, please consult with your primary healthcare practitioner and make sure it's the right thing for you. Also, make yourself relatively comfortable. You can use a cushion, and in fact, we encourage you in our seated positions, meditation practices, to use a cushion. It helps lift the heart up, keep the spine straight, and it's more ideal for the flow of energy in the body and for the meditation experience. You can even be sitting in a chair with feet flat on the floor for those of you that are unable to sit in a meditative sitting posture on the floor. Just use a chair, and for many of the exercises, that will work perfectly fine. And then lastly, if you're having any problems with the video streaming, try refreshing the page, or if you see a gear icon on the video, adjust your resolution. If you're new to this type of thing, just take care of yourself. If there's something that you don't quite understand, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Everything that needs to click will click after a few times of trying it out. Enjoy the experience. We're about to get started in just a moment.
Hey, welcome everyone. Let's tune in. And take your hands and make a little warmth. Okay, day one prosperity challenge. Here we go. Going ahead and centering the energy in your body by taking a deep inhalation in. And then an exhalation through the nose. And then continuing, take another kind of deep inhalation in through your nose. Suspend it for a moment. And then exhalation through the nose. And continue several more rounds of just a deep conscious breath. It's trying to get the mind to pay only attention to the breath. And of course, the mind is not likely to cooperate at first, but you just you keep gently, my mind, pay attention to this, because it's going to get really blissful if you do. The mind's always chasing its bliss anyways, looking for pleasures, avoiding pains. But if it's allowed to stay on that surface level of kind of grasping for bliss, it never really gets it. But if you can bring the energy centered in the nervous system, you can start to strengthen the magnetic field of your organism. Mind will get to its clarity. Sense of purpose will arise. And now we have the basic essential conditions for prosperity. And to tune in, inhale. Namo Gurudev Namo. Gurudev Namo. Gurudev Namo. Gurudev Namo. Excellent. So that's the basic idea. And come on the hands and knees, and we start to move the body and also move the chi, move the prana. And the head is coming up on the inhalation, the head is coming down on your exhalation. And you can just simply create a nice smooth rhythm for yourself. Yeah, when our chi gets stagnant, and then therefore the magnetic energy of the mind, body, organism tends to contract. And that kind of lends itself towards a contracted state of kind of relationship to life. So I don't feel like there's enough, and it's causing anxiousness. Or it's allowing depressions to grab hold. It's not that we don't have depressions, it's not that we don't have worries. We just don't want them to dominate us. We want actually more, if anything's going to dominate us, we want it to be the dharma of life, the real true path of our life. And that's not a domination, but rather that's a flow. That's an opening, that's a blossoming, that's a discovering, that's an entry into mysteriousness. And provokes real curiosity. Yeah, so mind onto the breath. Anchor the mind back to the breath again and again. And even better if you put a mantra onto the breath to facilitate that happening more effectively. The sound of the inhalation is like sat, and the sound of the exhalation is like nam. And imagine even that your breath is chanting a mantra. Nam, sat, nam, sat, nam, sat, nam. And you create a nice smooth flow for the last 30 seconds. Real prosperity starts to flow when we figure out how we can be helpful in life, how we can uplift life, how we can serve the creation in some way, the other people, the other environments. How can we help facilitate creativity in a way that we are uniquely equipped to do so? Don't you think? Inhale, head is up. Exhale, head is down. Good. And then come sitting back cross-legged. Make sure you have the water with you every day. Today will be a little bit longer, but we're just going to go straight in. And every day when you're doing that prosperity kriyas, always stay well hydrated. Anytime when working with your breath, pranayam, you're working with air element. Always be hydrating. And it can not only just be waters, but have teas with demulcent teas, whether you're buying them in the store like a throat coat tea or other type of things like things that have herbs like licorice and marshmallow and anything that gives moisturization to the tissues, the more easy and effective your pranayama practices are going to be. They're difficult when things are too dry, and part of what breathing practices can do is dry things up a little. So we want to be actively, especially if it's like winter dry months, actively be nourishing the respiratory system tissues, because not only is it okay on the physical level going to be better, but then also the absorption of prana into the organism, just the same as the absorption of oxygen into the bloodstream. You're working on not just the material physical organism, but the subtle part of the organism, which reasonably is more substantial than the physical part of the organism. You have what's called Annamaya Kosha, like we were talking about last night. I think it was last night. That's called the food body. You have the yogis describe the human organism as 5 sheaths. The first is called Annamaya Kosha, the food body. That's your physical body. You can touch the organs, the tissues, etc. Then comes Pranamaya Kosha. That's your chi body, your pranic body. When you're going to the acupuncturist, this is their needling and they're adjusting that part of the organism. So it's more subtle. And then even more subtle beyond that is called Manomaya Kosha, which is your mind body. The thoughts, feelings, emotions, the deep matrix of the subconscious, even more subtle. And so it's the chi, the prana, that is the bridge between the physical body and the mind body. And the beautiful thing about these kriyas is it doesn't require you to think that you're smart, or think that you understand the philosophy, or think that you have wisdom. All it is saying is to inhale, exhale, move the body in this way, put the fingers in this way, try to focus on the mantra, forget about all that other stuff, and give yourself an experience. You experience yourself as wise, you experience yourself as intelligent, you experience yourself as something that is of beauty and of realness and of mystery, but there is something majestic about you. And that's what we want to bring out inside our own experience. That only translates to others when we are experiencing it in ourself first. That's when it translates to others. But the mind will have you thinking that you can translate to others by adjusting things on the surface. A little bit, that's not very long lasting. That's working at the level of Annamaya Kosha. It doesn't have as much substance because it's subject to change too quickly. It's hard to keep the outer appearance looking the same for long periods of time, because what's happening? We're getting older, we're aging, things are changing. You can fight it as long as you want, it's happening. What you can do, though, is you can, instead of putting primary emphasis, it's not that we don't make ourselves look beautiful, of course we do. But when the emphasis shifts to the subtle nature, and you can work on less kind of fighting with the mind, and always kind of being dominated by the mind's narratives, its worries, its fears, its desires, all those things, they're real. But if the emphasis goes on the prana, the chi, the bridge between the body and the mind, can I just inhale, suspend my breath, lift the root lock, rectum, sex organ, navel, soften the heart, drop the shoulder blades, allow my mind to be relaxed. Maybe I can't allow my mind to be relaxed. Then can I draw my gaze? Can I put the optic nerve, or at least try to put the optic inner gaze where the root of the nose meets my skull bone, between the 2 eyebrows, and hold it there for just a moment. Then let it release. Good. Next exercise. Come the hands on the ankles or shins. You see, it's just like a little encouraging. It's not forcing. It's not trying to move quicker than anything wants to move. It's opening and it's blossoming. Hands on the ankles or shins. It's like a soft tap, in, out, just soft and easy, like a little sniff in on the inhale, a little sniff out on the exhale, like a little deeper the breath. Inhale, center. Now lift the rectum, sex organ, navel. Soften the chest. Soften the mind. Draw your inner gaze, third eye space. Let it go. Exhale. You see, it's just encouraging the prana to operate in a certain fashion, less being kind of out there, and more your operate. It's not that you're not going to go out there. We are. We have all the karmas of our life we're going to have to deal with. We have no choice. If we don't pay attention to the responsibilities of our life becomes a total mess and miserable. So we must. But where do we move from? When we are pursuing our desires, what part of ourselves are we pursuing from? Yoga sadhana is about making sure your energy is centered in your nervous system, and what the yogis though call the central channel. It's called Sushumna. It's a greater connotation than just central nervous system, but the central nervous system is kind of the physical corollary to what the yogis call the center channel, Sushumna. And through the yogic practices, inhalation, retention, exhalation, using the locks, using the gaze, using the mudras, etc., it starts to work with what's called the positively charged prana, chi, that's called pranavayu, and the negatively charged prana, which is called apanavayu. It's that which, the pranavayu is that which brings energy into the organism. Apanavayu is that which eliminates things out of the organism. You can think of it simply like this. The pranavayu, the positively charged life force, is the energy, is the prana that's above the diaphragm, above the navel. The apanavayu is the central energy, prana, chi, that exists below the navel, below the diaphragm. And those connect to the two poles of the magnetic being, of the magnetism. So there's always prana circulating up and down the spine, and you have two poles just like any magnet. Things are being drawn towards us. We're feeling attracted towards certain things. We feel repelled by other things. We're drawn in certain ways. We feel like about other things. We're magnetic like that. So when the chi can get centered in the nervous system, in the central channel, which is what the kriyas are helpful in facilitating, then all of a sudden what I'm drawn to will be the things, naturally, will be the things that my life is about, as opposed to the things that maybe I'm caught up in a little bit, but it's not in the end of the day going to be serving the bigger picture of what this path is about, which is the path of my own happiness and my own prosperity. So that's what building the magnetism is so profound. Because not only is it like, ooh, I'm more magnetic, it's also getting one in alignment with the natural river current of their life. Simple. And it's not changing your belief system necessarily or anything like that. It has nothing to do with anybody's religion. Or it's about when you exhale and you push the breath out, You inhale, you bring the breath in, and you suspend the breath, and you lift a little bit of a root lock, mulabandha, rectum, sex organ, navel, up and in. You suspend and soften up here, and then you put the gaze here. It encourages the chi that's typically below the navel point, Apana-vayu, to kind of lift up. And it takes the chi that tends to be up here, come down. And they describe it as the mixing of the negative and positive force at the point of the navel, and that causes the Kundalini process to start to motivate, to start to move. Not like some big fireworks when like all of a sudden that's not what we're going for. We have like children to raise, we have a job, we have responsibilities, we're householders. So instead it's slow blossoming that's totally integrated into the nervous system, and you really don't want it to move any faster of that because that shake up one's life. And so therefore, instead of shaking everything up, it's about learning to like appreciate right where we are in this season of our life and find the prosperity there, actually. Find the prosperity by figuring out how you're uniquely positioned to be helpful, how you're uniquely positioned to be creative. In this season, it's not necessarily the big goal of the big vision and the dream 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road. But what's happening actually right now, that's the access point that opens up the doors. And so by working with the prana and the kriyas in this way, it starts to kind of to gather your chi in the center of you. That's why when you're finished with the meditations like this, like, wow, it's so clear and it's so easy. It's so just like, it takes questions away. It takes self-doubt away. When self-doubt goes away, you don't need much else. Everything else kind of tends to work. So this is really about kind of the blossoming of the human potentiality when we're talking prosperity. Now, as we're going into these practices, the sequence of these 3 kriyas that we'll be doing every day, what I'm encouraging you to do is that you have clarity of intent. And so if you've done a couple of the sessions in the last couple of weeks, we've been doing that, kind of clarifying what is it that I'm wanting to blossom over this next season of my life that I'm using this 11-day sadhana to catalyze. And you might even have like a whole vision board of what that might be. Use your own creativity, and you know yourself in terms of that. What I'm encouraging you to do then is to take whatever all that vision for yourself is and give it a symbol or a word. You know, if it's like romance that you're really longing for, it's like you can use love. If it's money that I need, you can use money. But is there something underneath that money? Is there something underneath that? That's why we like the word prosperity, because prosperity is not just about money. Obviously, prosperity is when kind of dharma and vitality connect together, and when you are connected to what life is about, what your unique life is about, those resources will come. I've always experienced that to be true. Not always exactly when we want them to. Sometimes we wish we could like expedite the process. But that's part of it, because prosperous life is a life of trust. And you have to sometimes step out on a little bit of a limb. Not necessarily, quitting your job because you're no longer interested in it now that you found yoga sadhanas and that type of thing. Meanwhile, when you have like rent coming right up, etc., it's not like that. But it is kind of jumping out a little bit on a limb and testing this thing and seeing what nature is all about. I think of prosperity as just like, look at it. Its nature is just prosperous. There's growth everywhere. You can't stop things from growing. And so this is really the prosperous path is about being really unapologetically you. But first, I gotta figure out what me is. And that's always blossoming and opening up. And the more and more we're going through that, the more and more we're going to have and be experiencing real prosperity. But these prosperity kriyas can catalyze things, and you can use it to actualize things in life, most definitely. So if there's something with specificity that I have in my life that I'm trying to bring forth, I'll totally use these kriyas to help me facilitate that. What I'm encouraging always first, though, is to first center the life force chi. First, make sure you're in that vibe of you and clarity, not being pulled by other parts of ourselves, that if we actually actualize and manifest from that part of ourselves, initially good, but not necessarily going to be kind of putting us on the path that is going to give us a real fulfillment. Yeah? Because it's easy. We have all sorts of desires and all sorts of directions. So first things first is to forget about what I'm trying to manifest, is to get the chi in the central channel. And that, how do you do that? You just try Kundalini Yoga, and then you experience it. And then after a while, you get a feel for what that is. And there you go. And prana and apana mixing at the navel, causing the magnetism to lift up, causing the intuitive psyche to open up. It's pretty great. Okay, just a couple more. And the hands are here. And sit bones down. And then inhale, swing left. Exhale, swing right. The nose breathing. That's why it's like every exhalation, inhalation, prana, apana. And if you just try to get into a rhythm, then it starts to bring those two things together. Yeah, and breathe with it and have a good time and empower your own energy to feel good. Against all odds, here we are, feeling good. All the suffering in the world is not asking us to get depressed. Yes, it's asking us to pay attention. But if we get depressed about it, there's not much that we can do. So, taking care of our own happiness is essential if we're going to be of help. Into the center, inhale. Suspend the breath in. Lift through the root lock, rectum, sex organ, navel, up and in. And relax. Hands to the knees. And just a simple just at first, just inhale up, exhale, release. Just with me for a moment like that. Now like this. Use the breath and soften the upper spine area. More with the breath rhythm. And squeeze up. Squeeze it up, inhale. And release, exhale. Okay, stretch your legs wide open, V shape, opening the life nerve. If on a regular basis, you can keep the chi flowing nicely through the spine system, and you can keep the life nerve nice and open. Here we go. Now we have some longevity working for us. Inhale, center, turn to either side, lead with the navel and the heart. Exhale down, then inhale as you fill your lungs, lift up. And keep going. look so good. Girl, what are you doing? So I got my life nerve opened up. Started circulating my chi. I mixed the prana and the pana at the navel point, and my whole magnetic field started to shine, shimmer a little bit. A little bit extra light started coming through my eyes. And I noticed it, even when I would wake up and look in the mirror in the mornings. Center, and then just hinge forward a little bit. Feet are flexed, toes engaged. Chin is in, extend out through your heart, extend out through the crown of your head, and then make your breath really long and deep and see if your mind can follow the breath current. Inhaling, drawing the chi prana in as it filling the pelvic bowl. And as you exhale, drawing that chi prana up through the spinal centers and filling the bowl of your skull bone, the crown. And then as you inhale, is drawing it back down the spine, filling the pelvic bowl. How do you do that? Creativity, concentration. Where your attention goes, prana flows. So developing one's ability to concentrate on the breath concentrates their life force and strengthens their magnetic force. And relax, shake the legs out. Yes, and have some water. Okay, here we go, folks. All right, starting to kind of tune in. Maybe you're already crystal clear, but really starting to kind of reflect on, we're catalyzing this 11-day journey right now. Let's look at the horoscope for our experience. Well, first of all, Saturn is in Aquarius on the ascendant. So Saturn rules Aquarius. Saturn's really strong in Aquarius. And so when you see Saturn on the ascendant, immediately you think hard work. But good hard work, not hard work that's going to mess you up, hard work that's going to make your life better. But whenever it's Saturn, even if it's good Saturn, which this is good Saturn, it's still work. And so this, in this case, very naturally, this is the work of yoga practice, Saturn in its own sign, on the ascendant, creating what they call Mahapurusha Yoga, the great persons, that gives you all the kind of desirable qualities of Saturn coming forth, like sense of commitment, sense of like good backbone, sense of conviction, good work ethic, consistency. These are the type of things that is represented by Saturn. Venus is in Scorpio. Venus is in Scorpio, saying you love, but you gotta love deep. You can't love on the surface. You gotta go deep and figure that out. And then the moon, the sun, Mercury, and Mars, all in Sagittarius, all in the 11th house of groups of people and the masses. Sun, Mercury, Moon, and Mars all in Sagittarius. And the Moon in particular is what, if I'm taking a chart for something like this, because the Moon's changing signs, nakshatras every day, and changing the solar signs every 2.5 days. So last night when we did our class, the moon was still in Scorpio in Jyeshta Nakshatra, Indra, intense, king of the gods, thunderbolts, etc. Now the moon has moved into Mula Nakshatra, which is the first part of Sagittarius, and that's the galactic center, actually. And that's also this point where when you go from Jyeshta into Mula is called a Gandanta point. And that's where a water sign goes into a fire sign, and these are two of the most intense nakshatras of the whole sky. Mula is ruled by Nritti, who is Kali, is the ancient form of Kali. So it's fierce, it's intense, but it's healing. Its symbol is a bundle of herbs tied together. It's a healing nakshatra. Roots also tied together, which means also insinuates it must go deep. And so the moon in Mula Nakshatra is still, though it's Sagittarius, it's philosophical, it's about what is true, what is right, what is good, what is just. So this is, and Mercury is exactly conjunct the moon together, so that would kind of indicate communication of what's in the emotional realm, communication of one's feelings. And not just any feelings, because we're hanging out in Mula, communication of deep feelings underneath. Maybe it's communication to the whole universe through your mantra. Hud, Hud, Hud. It doesn't have to be, just what we ordinarily think of communication. We're always communicating. So Mercury in the yogic context is Buddha, is the Vishuddha chakra. And it's one's intelligence, it's one's ability to express oneself, it's one's ability to express the dharma of one's life. Its ether element has everything to do with mantra. So moon and Mercury combined in this particular practice, very heavy on the mantra. Yeah. Okay, that's enough fun. Okay, ready? Index finger to thumb, palms facing up just like this. Take a deep inhale and exhale. Then inhale, then exhale, and I'll lead this soft little rhythmic breath, and you can join in with me. Inhale, like a very soft and light. Inhale, exhale, inhale, light and rhythmic. If you're having a hard time hitting that, take in less air, make it lighter and easier. Inhale, exhale, inhale, if you've got that, now keep going and gaze the third eye, rhythm. It's really how much kind of presence and concentration into the chi, into the pranayam. Satam, 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 satam. Inhale. Suspend the breath in. Lift the rectum, sex organ, navel, up and in. And now exhale. Take your hands Gyan Mudra facing forward, palms facing forward, then press the shoulder blades back towards each other. Lift through the chest, release through the shoulders. It's going to be a trinity breath, a 2-stroke inhalation through the O-shaped mouth, and a 1-stroke exhalation through the nose, using the diaphragm to push all the breath out, like so. puckered, rounded mouth. Keep the shoulders released down. Elbows can be relaxed down, but press the shoulder blades back like they're trying to touch each other. Keep that rhythm. There's nothing else special that you need to do other than try to keep the body steady in the asana and keep the breath in that rhythm. Eyes are 9/10 closed, so just allow a little light in through the eyes and continue the Trinity breath. Rounded mouth, inhaling powerfully in 2 strokes through the mouth, and exhale powerfully in 1 stroke through the nose. The 2-stroke inhalation and the 1-stroke exhalation. Keep going. Perfect. You see, as it builds the energy, sometimes it feels like the body, the nervous system is not in a position to handle the energy the Kriya is generating. But try to just soften into it. Even though it's difficult, sometimes try to allow it to be difficult and stay with it. We're not risking exacerbating any pre-existing injuries. If ever you're feeling lightheaded or need to rest, by all means you should rest. But the context of the meditation is to navigate the ups and downs of the mind and the emotional body's activities and continue to anchor yourself back into the breath rhythm. The Kriya to connect the subconscious with the intuitive psyche. Moon is the subconscious. Mercury, the intuitive psyche. Then the great desires that we have underneath the surface, Venus and Scorpio, can reveal themselves. The deep desires that are connected to the great path of our life. That is the intuitive psyche, which reveals such things. We get epiphany, we have a realization. We have a moment of clarity. We have a moment of inspiration. Creativity starts to flow. Less than 2 minutes. See if you can enjoy. Enjoy, so you go into joy. And hang out there for a little while until the end of the Kriya. Try. Concentrate. Inhale. Press your hands in the prayer pose, mudra, center of the chest. Forearms parallel to the ground. Suspend the breath in as you press your hands together with all your strength. Press them, concentrating the prana. Hold the position, exhale. Inhale. Suspend the breath in and press the hands together with all your strength, so powerfully that they shake. Exhale. Inhale, stretch your arms up to the sky. Inhale deeper, fingers tight, touch the ceiling, release your shoulder blades down, sit bones into the earth, fingertips to the ceiling. Exhale. Relax. Más agua, por favor. You're starting to get a sense of what your 11-day, you're feeling that, your idea of that, because these last two kriyas, now is when we're going to start to catalyze that. The other thing about our horoscope for this is Rahu is placed in the second house. Rahu tends to be like what we obsess about. Wherever Rahu is placed is what we tend to be a little bit obsessive about. Like, you know, like when you're on Instagram and what do they say? Like, I'm so obsessed. They're using it usually in a positive context. And sometimes Rahu can be in a positive context, but it tends to create attachments. And so the second house is all about money. And so Rahu is placed in the house of money. But Rahu, when you work with it via subtle energy, and because Rahu is a serpent energy, it's the head of the serpent, head of a dragon. Ketu is the tail of the dragon. So when you work with it in terms of, say, for instance, like Kundalini Shakti, Kundalini Yoga, then you can actually get into what is the more desirable qualities of what Rahu represents. And what Rahu represents is what we need to learn by exploration. That's why we feel obsessed about it, because we can feel in ourselves that this is something I want. And there is some part of Dharma is inside of that. But when it stays on its surface level, it creates anxiousness and attachment. But if the chi is well-centered, nervous system is nice and revitalized, then that Rahu energy can provide us with kind of a force of directionality in our life of where our path of growth and opportunities are. Rahu. Yeah, Rahu. And so this is a very good way to do that, because Rahu's intense energy, and then we're going to be using this prosperity kriya, bringing the moon and Jupiter together, striking the index fingers, sides of the index fingers together, the Jupiter fingers, and then these moon parts of the hand. This is well known in all of Indian astrology. The moon centers of the hand, the Jupiter centers of the hand, Jupiter fingers. And you know that whenever you're bringing Jupiter and the moon together, it creates what they call Gajakesari Yoga, which gives good fortune and prosperity. So when your Jupiter fingers strike, right thumb crosses under the left. Yeah, so it's working with your chi, with your prana, not staying on the surface. And when you're chanting the mantra, tip of the tongue striking the upper palate, and each repetition of the mantra, navel comes in. Hud, 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 hud. Communicate. Head, 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 Your eyes come slightly open and they gaze to the tip of the nose. Yeah, vibrate the cosmos. Cosmos clear the path. Bring in your good fortune. Make it happen. Tip of the tongue, navel point. Communicate. Keep chanting the mantra. The mind will react in certain ways. No problem. Just keep coming back to the mantra. That's why they call it the thunderbolt of the mantra. It's the thunderbolt force that creates a neutralization of the positively charged and negatively charged psyche, which opens the intuitive eye. But you keep chanting. When you get to the boredom phase, keep chanting until something opens up and you move out of a boredom phase and you start to experience the Shakti of the Kriya. Tip of the nose gaze. Chant it. How can it be boring? You're being asked to look at the tip of your nose for a prolonged period of time, and to blend your entire awareness into a mantric rhythm, hypnotic, trance-like. You're being asked to bring the forces of Jupiter and the moon and conjoin them in some sort of a harmony. At the exact point of latitude and longitude, in which you are currently sitting. What's so boring? Chant it. 90 seconds. Inhale, cup the hands together. Suspend the breath. Make the mind spacious and relaxed. And feel the hands like an overflowing cup. And through your nose, exhale. And inhale. And cup the hands and just feel the prosperity like an overflowing cup already, overflowing. And hold the position, exhale, and inhale. Overflowing, you can't even catch it all, not even close, overflowing. Exhale. Yes. That's great. And last one. Staying in the mantra. Then you can bring in that symbol or that word that you have that's representing your whole intent, your whole visualization is all kind of being represented by that symbol or that word. Bring it into your mind's eye. Yeah, then you just let it kind of like dissipate back into emptiness, into space. Yeah, I very much think of that prosperity as like the overflowing cup, and I can't even hold, very little of it. So the more capacity I have to hold the prosperity that is already, it kind of like, that's what Dharma is like. It's already like, life is already kind of wishing us to open up. And the more that we kind of take a step in that direction, the more it takes a step in our direction, and things start, and then in that way it becomes compounding. The index finger to the thumb, palms facing forward, the other three fingers together and pointing up towards the sky. And this is to bring your hands visualized in like surrounded in an emerald green luminosity. Amazing. And gaze into the third eye and begin chant the mantra. Chant it. Now it's like this. It's like, keep going. make the palms flat. Hood, 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 hood. Visualize the palms in like an emerald luminosity. And then now chanting. Use the navel point and the tip of the tongue. It's perfect. Just keep going. Hypnotic chant. Hood. 3 minutes. Concentrate the tip of the tongue, the sound. Vibrate the cosmos. Let the mantra carry your intent and use the mantra to penetrate. Inhale. Hold the posture steady. Spacious the mind. Visualize the hands illuminating, surrounded by a emerald green luminosity. Hold the position. Exhale. Deep inhale. Suspend the breath, lift the root lock, rectum, sex organ, navel, soften the chest, see the hands surrounded in an emerald light. Hold the position, exhale. Last time, inhale. Root lock, see the hands, emerald light. Relax. Relax into meditative position. And before you go kind of exiting the meditative state, stay in it for a moment. And bring that symbol, that word back into your mind's eye. See its characters. And just kind of beam on it. It's called beaming the mind. You can see it as you concentrate on it, it gains like a radiance. It gains a magnetism. So it's like glowing very beautifully and very powerfully. And then let it go. Bravo. Take your arms out like this. Shake it out. And, prosperity is a fine word, and it encompasses so much. So if you're not sure about that whole symbol, just use the word prosperity. It encompasses everything. Yeah, I want to leave you with this. Great job. You've now completed the requirements for day 1 of the meditation challenge. But all the other days, much easier. All you do is go to the Life Force Academy 11-day challenge page, push the video there. From beginning to end, it's less than 30 minutes. You don't have to listen to me talk about all sorts of different things. It's the practice. It goes right into it. But then also at 9:30 Pacific time every day, we're going to be doing, tomorrow it'll be Charlotte's class, so that'll be a little longer one. That'll be a 90-minute class where she'll be leading it in there. In her class, she teaches every Wednesday evening. I teach every Monday evening, Life Force Academy. Libraries of yoga classes for you in here. Library of power practices, quick practices you can do anytime you want. And then all the other days at 9:30 a.m., someone from the Life Force Academy team will be leading the community practice, prosperity practice at 9:30 a.m. Pacific if you want to do it with a group. And that will just happen via Zoom. All right, all of that's provided for you. However, you don't have to do any of that. You can just go to the challenge page and push play. And do it every day for the next 10 days, and perfect. And I think you're going to love it. And then if you want to continue, there's no reason why you can't. You can make it a 40-day challenge if you'd like, if you're really feeling that. Or after the 11 days, what I do really encourage you to do, if you can get into a full yoga class once a week. Some people do many more than once a week, but even just once a week, where it's 90 minutes where you're kind of immersing yourself, not in only the practice, but some aspect of the teachings, because that keeps everything inspired and fresh. Otherwise, practice tends to get a little mundane if we're not doing something to keep it fresh and to keep the exploration really kind of vibrant. And so I really encourage you to check that out. This is what we do best, Life Force Academy, providing virtual experiences that deliver what it feels like, very much similar to being in person, but also to have a substantive yoga practice and a substantive dharma practice. That means not just doing exercises, but actively blossoming, actively becoming happy, actively becoming more and more blissful, more and more prosperous. That's what we do at Life Force Academy, and everything we do revolves around that. An 11-day challenge is really just a starting point. It's a great entry point into this kind of thing where throughout the coming year and beyond, we're very much participating in our own blossoming. So I just wanted to leave you in one of the great things, and I think one of the really wonderful parts of prosperity, real prosperity, is when you can, and every yoga practice, meditation practice, dharma practice is encouraged to be sealed in this way, to where your concern becomes less about your own plight, your own accumulation of resources, and you direct that actually towards others. And that is the expansive attitude that I find brings prosperity. So, finally, to seal our stuff, to seal our session together, this is from the Tibetan Lama Jigme Lingpa, and he's giving words to what they call the four immeasurables, or the four boundless attitudes, which I found out recently. I didn't know. I found out from Bob. I didn't ever realize that also Patanjali, in the first book of the Yoga Sutras, goes through the four immeasurables, four boundless attitudes, which is boundless love, boundless compassion, boundless joy, and boundless equanimity. Okay, Jigme Lingpa. Love means wishing for the happiness of others, like a loving mother cherishing her child. One's body, wealth, and virtue are all amassed. One gives for others' benefit, while training to endure the harm that they may inflict. Compassion is a powerful state of mind, an inability to tolerate the fact that others suffer. Beings in the six realms are entrapped by sorrow and its cause, and seeing this brings tears to one's eyes. Joy is to delight in others' pleasures and success. It is to cultivate the wish that all have happiness. That's the overflowing cup, boundless joy. It is a joy one feels when they achieve it. It's a joy when they achieve it, as if we were feeling that achievement for ourselves, and is the wish that they should never be deprived of it. Impartiality is freedom from attachment and hostility. When sides and factions are all seen as equal, when enemy and friend are neither, when enemy and friend and neither and neutrals are all treated with an even-handed kindness. When we practice these four attitudes, we remember that all is without true existence. A friend and enemy they're real. It's real that we have adversaries. It's real that we have things to stand up for, but these things are relatively real. And so by doing this kind of daily centering of the chi and the life force, it opens up that space of what they call shunya, which is a type of, we sometimes translate that as like an emptiness, a 0 point. But what that really is a gateway into like an infinity power, where that puts one in the flow of life in a different type of way. Okay, take the hands into the prayer pose. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for the LFA team. We are up and running with the 9th annual LFA Prosperity Challenge. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm doing it with you. We're all doing it with you. And anything I didn't announce that I was supposed to regarding how this all works, I think we're good. Okay, everybody, have a beautiful rest of your day, and happy prosperity. But you're wired somehow. You have a certain way of existing that is absolutely natural and skillful for you. It's you're talented in that way. It's how your heart expresses itself. It's how you get inside of love, and how love expresses itself uniquely through you.
If you have a mind, you have a mission.
If you have a mind,
You have a mission.
If you have a mind,
You have a mission.